The Unwritten Chapter. The city hummed a lullaby of distant sirens and lonely streetlights, but inside Clara's apartment, the only sound was the restless turning of a page. She was a curator of quiet moments, a collector of stories that weren't her own. Tonight, the story was of a love so profound it felt like a myth. A forgotten melody her own heart ached to remember. The book spoke of a connection that transcended touch, a dance of souls in the quiet spaces between heartbeats. It described a hunger not of the body, but of the spirit, a yearning to be truly seen, to have one's own secret garden discovered and explored with reverence. She closed the book, the silence in her apartment suddenly feeling vast and empty. The story had planted a seed in her, a tiny, insistent bloom of longing. It was a feeling she had long since packed away, like a treasured photograph from a forgotten summer. Her fingers traced the embossed title on the book's cover. It was a story of two rivers merging, of two flames becoming one, a testament to the beautiful, wild geography of intimacy. She felt a warmth spread through her, a gentle tide pulling her towards an unknown shore. A memory surfaced, unbidden, a summer night, fireflies like scattered diamonds in the tall grass, and the ghost of a touch that had promised a universe she was too afraid to explore. The memory was a whisper, but tonight it roared in her ears. She stood up, the book falling to the floor with a soft thud. A sudden, fierce energy coursed through her. The quiet curator was gone, replaced by a woman with a storm in her eyes and a map to a hidden treasure clutched in her heart. She walked to her closet, her movements fluid and purposeful. The clothes she usually wore, the sensible sweaters and muted colors, seemed like a costume for a part she no longer wanted to play. Her fingers bypassed them, searching for something that spoke of the fire awakening within her. She pulled out a dress the color of a midnight rose, a whisper of silk that had been waiting for a night like this. It was a dress that promised secrets, a dress that knew the language of skin and the poetry of a lover's touch. As she slipped it on, the fabric felt like a second skin, a silent promise of the sensations to come. She looked at her reflection, and for the first time in a long time, she saw not just Clara, the quiet girl with her books, but a woman on the precipice of a grand adventure. Her phone buzzed. A message from him. "Thinking of you," it read. A simple message, yet tonight it felt like a key turning in a lock, opening a door to a room she had only ever dreamed of entering. She typed back, her fingers dancing across the screen. "I have a story to tell you." It was a promise, an invitation, a challenge. It was the beginning of a new chapter. One she would write not with ink and paper, but with whispered words and lingering touches. She left her apartment, the city air cool against her skin. The streets, once lonely, now seemed to pulse with a secret rhythm, a heartbeat that matched her own. Every streetlight was a spotlight, every stranger a silent witness to her quest. She arrived at his door, her heart a hummingbird in her chest. For a moment she hesitated. The old fears, the familiar doubts, whispered in her ear. But the story she had read, the fire it had ignited, was stronger. He opened the door, and his eyes, the color of a stormy sea, widened in surprise. He saw not the Clara he knew, but a woman transformed, a goddess of the night with a story in her eyes that he was desperate to read. "You're beautiful," he breathed, the word a prayer. He reached out, his fingers tracing the line of her jaw, a silent question in his touch. She leaned into his touch, her own hand finding his. "I've missed this," she whispered, though they had never touched like this before. She was not just talking about his touch, but about the feeling of being alive, of being wanted, of being on the verge of something extraordinary. He led her inside, his apartment, a sanctuary from the world. The air was thick with unspoken words, with the scent of him, with the promise of the night. They didn't speak. Words were unnecessary. Their bodies, their eyes, their souls were having a conversation that was centuries old, a language of desire that needed no translation. He was the first to move, his hand finding the small of her back, pulling her closer until there was no space left between them, only the thrumming of two hearts beating as one. And then he kissed her. It was not a gentle kiss. It was a kiss of fire and flood, a kiss that spoke of lonely nights and silent yearnings, a kiss that was both a question and an answer. In his arms, she was no longer a curator of other people's stories. She was the story. She was the poem. She was the song that had been waiting to be sung. The world outside, with its sirens and its loneliness, faded away. There was only this room, this moment, this man who was unlocking a part of her she never knew existed. Their dance was a symphony of touch and taste, a journey into the secret garden of the soul. It was a discovery of hidden springs and sun-drenched clearings, a celebration of the beautiful, wild geography of two bodies becoming one. And in the quiet aftermath, as the city began to stir with the first light of dawn, she lay in his arms, her body a landscape explored and cherished, her heart a compass that had finally found its true north. She was no longer a collector of stories. She was a creator of them, and this, she knew, was only the first chapter.